we actually, at one point, we were just about to shoot the first shot, and this isn't a joke. We had a line of about 50 nudists walking.
Good day, Jake Ringsell of the brilliant film The Rally. Jake, how are you today?
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really good. Good to finally see you, Ben.
I love the film so much. I read some of the YouTube comments. It's streaming, available now, and I was reading some of the YouTube comments. So this is so touching. And you're not really prepared for it. Like it's a gut punch at the end, right? That's what you must be hearing from people who watch it.
Yeah, I mean, what's been really lovely is on the film festival circuit, which I didn't expect, is I think because it's such a relatable topic, being about cancer, people come up to you and share their own stories. And you think when you're at a film festival, you're going to get questions about the film or the process, the writing or whatever. But a lot of people would just come up to me and say, "No, I lost my sister in December," and would tell me their personal stories, which I never, I've always wished film could do that for me, connect to people and that. But
Yeah.
having a vehicle to do that's something we didn't expect with the film. But it's really beautiful. And yeah, seeing the comments online, just another, it seems really nice and cathartic that people were just talking about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, bringing like kindness into the world. It's in short supply now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, with what's going on everywhere.
So, how did you get started, Jake?
Making films,
Yeah.
s- like anyone, making silly home movies with a mini DV camera when I was, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. And I think I grew up in that sort of YouTube, the birth of YouTube generation, which
Yeah.
makes you, people could just put things into the world. And I think I started making stupid movies with friends. I also loved performing as well because I'm from a music background. I think as soon as I found another means to do that and put myself in front of the lens as well, that's definitely how it started. And then I think my parents went, "Oh, maybe you could do this as a career," and ended up going to university like a lot of people, meeting the right kind of people. And yeah, I guess being from a music background, I started out of uni, I started primarily shooting music videos just because that seemed to be the quickest way to get paid for what I was doing. Not that it was a lot. I think I remember doing sort of £50 for a music video here and there and paid in other things like clothes. But that I really, so I think I honed my craft in that world and that naturally developed into commercial filmmaking. So, advertising and stuff like that. And then somewhere along the line, I realized I never wanted to work in marketing and I wanted to make movies. So trying to steer that ship back to narrative.
And that was your degree it was in marketing?
No, it was in film.
Okay.
But I
Alright,
think
yeah, alright.
there becomes like a necessity when you get out of uni to earn money, or certainly I'm not from any means myself. So
Yeah,
there was if I wanted to rent a flat or live in London, because from just
sure.
outside originally, it felt like I needed to make it a business first. I could be making short films forever. So when I got somewhat stable, that's why I'm trying to steer back to drama, and that's the dream, really.
Sorry if this comes across as a dumb question. So when you graduate uni in the UK, do you have the burden of student loans that like a student in the United States at film school would have?
Yeah, it's pretty horrid.
Okay.
Luckily, my generation was the year before it went up substantially. Think it tripled
Oh,
after my
wow.
year. I don't think I would have gone if I wasn't that year.
Yikes.
But I'm definitely got about 20 grand, 25 grand's worth of debt. But it all comes off in little increments and seems worth it.
And so on the music video part, does it help to be a musician yourself to shoot those videos? If I didn't have that background in music, would it be hard for me to approach, like, shooting music videos?
No, I think it definitely invokes a style of your filmmaking
Yeah,
as it does with drama. I think I pour a lot of my musical personality into the films, but
right.
I think no, there's great music video directors out there that have no
Don't have that
musical,
background.
yeah, flair at all, and I think they become different videos as well. And sometimes it's a challenge, especially if I'm editing a project as well, not to get too into the music. I'm doing a project at the minute actually, and it maybe needs to dwell a bit more on the narrative than it does on the energy of the cut and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think anyone can do music videos. It seems to. I love it as a means of expression.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So you directed and edited The Rally, which is just impressive filmmaking. So we talked about the comments. What should people, when they sit down to watch it, what do you want their mindset to be going into it?
That's a good question. I guess When we started when me and the writer first started talking, there was a simplicity to that script that I found refreshing. I think when you're going to make a short film or going to watch a short film, there seem to be quite common tropes. Oh, it has to have a twist and a turn here, or we were going down
Exactly.
one route and we didn't see it. And what I liked about it, it was just refreshingly, it's very much just a human story. And because there's no other characters and it's centered around just two individuals, I feel like it's a very focused film. Yeah, I'd say it's nice to watch because of that, but because of the subject matter, it's obviously not light-hearted. Everyone loves a cry, don't they? So I think, yeah, it's I guess going into
Exactly.
it, yeah, a bit of a trigger warning that it's about losing someone and grief and that process just before, but I think it's really relatable. I think anyone has their own story that it reminds them of or might remind them of.
And the runtime is quick, like, it feels like it's over before you want it to be over. Was that sort of always part of it? Did you have to cut a lot, or was that always a trim film?
I think that's good in my mind. I think as an
Yeah,
editor as well,
100%.
I like that you're left wanting more. It
Yeah.
also just felt quite natural that there wasn't any more to those characters to explore it in that moment. I guess I was watching it the other day, and as an editor as well, I was like, "I think I could have cut another minute out of that." But it's really hard. It's nice. I love cutting drama compared to something commercial because it's lovely just to let the emotions take you and rather than having to cut for any other reason or content or keeping something down. But no, there was never an intention to keep it short. I just let things play out. What was interesting though, we had there was I think 2 improvised scenes. So if we hadn't have shot them, it would have been probably about 9 minutes long, really short. And it's that moment where they're on the hill looking at the clouds. And that's a good testament to my cinematographer. The light was not where we wanted it to be for the scene, so he was saying, "Should we just shoot something because let's not waste time?" And that's such a
Yeah,
commercial way of filmmaking because time's funny and you've got to get things done and the sun's going down. So I was like, "Yeah, let's have them." And in the back of my mind, I was like, "I'm not sure if I believe them as friends yet, so let's do something improvisational, put them on the floor, just chilling out and seeing what comes." And the dialogue that isn't in the film was very R-rated. They were making inappropriate shapes out of the clouds. But what came into the film was this beautiful, natural laughing moment, which I think was quite cool.
wow, so many things about that. So the lighting is beautiful. It's shot over the course of, I think, a day and a half, something like that, and it goes from, like, night to day, and it really sets the tone for the story. What were your thoughts on lighting as you prepared and edited the final cut?
Yeah, so my university studies were actually specialized in cinematography more than
Okay,
directing.
makes
Directing is
sense.
something I found later actually, but the so I'm always when I'm approaching a film or a project, it's always nice if the lighting, the lens and the frame tell as much of the story as the dialogue, the actors and the blocking. But obviously with such a low budget film, being able to be that creative person and saying we need this lens choice and we want to light it like this, it's necessity as well. It's what you can
Right.
achieve with nothing. So my amazing cinematographer, Michael O'Connor, he's a good friend of mine, and we shot together a lot in the commercial world, music videos, adverts, stuff like that. And we had these conversations that were like, how do we make something as beautiful as the script? So, as with what it's about, it needs to feel like the light's constantly just about to go out. And I think I just
Exactly.
watched, though this sounds overly ambitious, I just watched The Revenant, like I think the same year that we shot the film and that's obviously all shot in Canada and it's stunning, but it's all like with low light in the back, and then they've obviously just got a bounce or a bit of negative at the front. So really working with natural light. So what started as a don't have any money situation soon became how can we turn this to our sort of benefit. So yeah, always naturalistic. We were shooting guerrilla on the second day when they're out and about. So being quick and not having lights on stands was essential because for legal reasons and quickness. And we were constantly disturbed by dog walkers. Actually, very strange story. We actually at one point we were just about to shoot the first shot, and this isn't a joke. We had a line of about 50 nudists walking. Yeah, yeah.
What?
I saw this look in my actor's eye. Anya and Kat, they were sitting by a tree, and they both just turned to me laughing, and I was like, "What?" And we looked through the trees, and there was about 50
50
quite possibly nude people having a hike, which I didn't know was legal, but it is. So anyway, shooting gorilla.
That
natural.
would have made for quite a different film.
Yeah, I wish the camera's rolling just in the background of the would be amazing. But yeah, I mean, we made sure to, like, that stuff aside, we made sure to optimize every golden hour. So if we didn't have a scene that happened when the sun was going down and when the sun was coming up, we wrote one or we improvised one because we wanted to make sure we were taking as much out of the day as possible. So trying to like optimize those cinematic, beautiful moments, which a lot of the film takes place at either just the dusk or the dawn, I think.
I love that, Jake. So, did the 2 actors know each other before? Feels like you had to cast them together to be able to make sure that they had that chemistry to pull this film off.
Yeah, they didn't know each other at all. Yeah, I really rave about the actors. They did an amazing job. And also bearing in mind the days they weren't glamorous. Like it was
Right.
full long days. Kat, who plays Ren in the film, had a cold for the entire time. So
Oh,
they were incredible. So no, Anya Daly, who plays Sam, she's a friend of mine, as is often the way with low budget filmmaking. But I had this film, I was like, I know one very good actor, maybe she'll do it. And yeah, once we had her on board, the writer had a couple of other options. So we didn't have a casting director, so it's about who we can get hold of. And
yeah.
we found Kat, and Kat was really interesting because she hadn't done a lot of narrative before, but she's an amazing dancer and a choreographer, so a lot of the direction with her was talking about physicality, and because she's playing someone that's terminally ill, that ended up being a huge benefit. Being able to be aware of a lot of the dialogues we were having or the conversations we were having were about physicality and how heavy a performance needed to be. Whereas with Anya, it was more about orienting her in the scene and talking about where that character's come from and where they're going thing. So yeah, but they didn't know each other at all, and I that like, first day we had one rehearsal as well, and just yeah, it was ropey. Oh, no, sorry, the rehearsal was brilliant, they were really good, but I think we got to about 2 weeks before we started filming, and I was like, "We should rehearse," and we could only get them for a day. But yeah, getting them together on set, I think it was about making the set as friendly as possible. So we had a really great producer, Marek, who made the whole atmosphere very friendly. And between takes, everyone was laughing and joking. And I think that's so important in any film, but in short filmmaking, if everyone's taken care of and the catering's not too bad, I think everyone's got smiley faces and having little moments within the filming where they could become friends and get to know each other. That
Right.
was important, I think. Good question.
And in a film with this subject matter, if you made it morose, I think it might influence what's on the screen.
Yeah, there's something me and the writer spoke about. He's a friend I met at uni years ago,
Okay.
um, and I was saying there's not a lot of ups in this film. And we'll talk about that in a minute, where it's come from, the writing. But yeah, it was important. I had to find a way to have little bits of light, so the dark moments stood out more and didn't become too heavy. But it's a heavy film about something quite heavy.
Yeah, and that was my next question, Jake. So it was written by Amadeus Redha, and it felt like you were entrusted with a gift. Was it because, like, you were friends and he knew, like, your directorial style, and that's why he said, "Can you direct this film that I wrote?"
That sounds nice. That sounds glamorous, but I don't think that's true. I think
We could just go with it. You could just say, "Yeah," like,
no, I'll be honest. No, well, so me and Amadeus met at uni, and he wasn't studying film there. I think he was studying English or something. But later in life, he came to me, I think just before COVID or just around COVID or during, I think. Yeah, during COVID, he came to me and he said, I've written a feature, and knew obviously of me in the commercial world doing stuff. And he said, I'd love for you to read it. So we started having these conversations. He sent me this 95-page script,
wow.
which I thought, first time writer, I don't really want to read this, but I was drawn to it straight away. And I really loved his writing style. He's really good at characters. And I was like, we can't afford to make a feature. Have you got any shorts? And we started talking about how could we do a short together? Because I was very much, again, COVID, big turning point for a lot of people going, where do I want to go with my career and where
Right.
have I lost track? And I said to him, I was like, I'd love to. I'd just done a documentary as a personal project that fell through because of legal reasons, because it was the nature of it was quite sensitive. But I was really in the headspace to take on something like a passion project. Anyway, so he's got these ideas for shorts. He's written a few, the rally being one of them. And I was reading through these log lines and script ideas and read through the rally, and that just shone out. He had some great ambitious sci-fi and some cool other bits, but that one, The Rally, stood out to me. And he was like, that's really interesting because he wrote it following his chemotherapy journey. So he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
Yeah, it was diagnosed a few years ago, I think, and I'd never heard about it. So that was the first surprise, and it's about the film's about 2 women, but the script very much echoes, like, his anxieties during that time, and when that became apparent, when we were making a film that's about the writer's own sort of cancer journey, it quickly became, like, a bit more of a mission that was like, "Okay, we are doing this," and that's so good because it made me and Ahmad really close as well, the sort of conversations we had to have. But it never felt like doom and gloom. It always felt
yeah.
like, I imagine for he said cathartic for him, but it was always quite fun to though we're making a film that's so sad, because you'd have people come on board. The producer, Marek, for instance, came on board because he was like this he lost his mum a couple of years back, and that rang true for him, and so many of the cast and crew had their own stories, and that it seemed to just be a big sharing sort of family, which was lovely. Yeah. I'm glad I met Ahmad at uni, and he's gone into directing now as well. So he's just done the antithesis of this film. He's done a comedy called Olympus Lost. It is really special. It's in the festivals at the minute.
And was it always 2 women that as part of the script, or do you guys change that?
God, I think I spoke to Ahmad about this because I think there was there were so many conversations where we were like, should they be more than friends, or should they
Right.
be, and there was always a reluctance to stray too far from the sort of the seeds of what had motivated the script. I think we did have a conversation, could it be 2 guys? But there was something really gentle I wanted to explore about,
Right.
like, female friendship as well. I think it becomes a very different film. I think also Ahmad's journey it wasn't exactly the going on a camping trip and that sort of stuff, but I think we needed to remove it a little bit from Ahmad's journey so it could become, because it is so much as if you're too close to something, even when you're, like, writing a song, if you write something that hurts a bit too much, it's not
Yeah.
gonna be as great as if you can look at it with hindsight. So I think it needs to be different enough that it's not, allegorical, but true enough that it's honest.
But that's a big challenge, right? It's pretty natural if we wanted to do a script together, right, writing about 2 dudes chatting, obviously that comes natural to us, right? But if you're writing about 2 women, and it's not just like chatting, but it's about something over terminal illness, you run the risk of it being looked at or feels inauthentic. And you look at all the comments, nobody's saying, "Oh man, this is written by 2 guys. This doesn't ring true." All of it is just how touching this is. So it is a big risk what you guys did is that it could have came across as not true to life.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in, I think you should always write stories about people that are nothing like you or different, because it's a great vehicle for learning about things. So I remember being on set, and like I said, we use a lot of improv to get their relationship feeling friendlier. And I think in that process, I grew up around a lot of women as well. So we take what we know as well about how female friendships go. But I
Yeah,
think it's a wonderful thing if filmmakers make films about other minorities or other people that aren't themselves, because in that process you learn about someone else and you get that
yeah.
lovely back and forth. And equally, if we'd made a film and they were like, that's not how that's not how 2 women on a camping trip like talk to each other, that's great, because then we've learned something and you move forward, rather than I'm just going to make a movie about a little white man that lives in a house with roses. Or
I love it, Jake, but that is advanced filmmaking, and, you should receive credit for that because it really is it feels authentic, and I think that's a credit to you and the team that put it together. So, it had its festival run, and now it's streaming on Omeletta. Is that how I say it?
so
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and can you break down how you made that decision? I know that they're, like, short of the week, and there's all sorts of these platforms that offer different screenings for short films. What was the decision to go there? Do you look at, like, subscriber counts? Are you looking at, like, views before you go in there? What was your decision in terms of releasing the short film?
Yeah, I think to be really honest, we got to the end of the festival run and then all went, what do we do now?
Yeah,
Because this is a micro budget short, although we were lucky enough to win a cash prize, to which we paid everyone a fee for the film, which was
That's
Good.
awesome.
It's good to do.
Yeah, it's
Um,
good.
but when you don't have the producer wasn't taking any more money, so it gets to the point where you're like and they've all got so many projects as well, so to be really honest, it got to the end of the festival run and I was like, "It would be amazing if we could host this not just independently. Let's look
Right.
into our options," and you got director's notes and short of the week, and Omeletto seemed to be a big one, and that also seemed to be a platform. Omeletto was a platform that I'd seen other peers be hosted on as well, and I thought the caliber of film on there I saw films on there that were really amazing, and I saw films on there that were a different level, and I knew my film could have a home there. Plus, definitely looking at the fact it's got 4 million subscribers, and it
Yeah,
seems
exactly.
like even if that got 3 or 4 comments, that'd be superior to me posting it out of through social channels and stuff. Yeah, I guess Omletto just came on our door through other people getting on there, and it feels like a good home for it, and I'm really the sort of heartfelt response it's had is better than we could have imagined.
And during the festival run and then now screening on YouTube, have you gotten responses from film producers, anything that is helping furthering your career? Or is it just mostly just an audience that has been exposed to your work?
Mm. Yeah, we had a few bigger successes that put us on some radars, which was nice.
Yeah.
Nothing major, which I mean, our ambitions with the rally, due to the fact it shot for about a grand and had an even smaller sort of festival reach out budget. Our real target, especially for me and Amadeus, was to get back on the horse, get back on the
Yeah.
narrative horse and network and hopefully impress some people and let it be a stepping stone on our film journey. Obviously, when we finished the film, we were like, oh, this feels obviously for Ahmad, there's a catharsis with it. And our relationship blossomed much more because of it as well. So there's lots of lovely happy accidents like that. The sort of successes we had, there was a great startup app called Waves that ran a competition and they had thousands of submissions and they were based out, I think they were based, I'm going to get it wrong, but in LA, I think, somewhere in America. And they were kind enough to award us the $10,000 cash prize for
That's
that.
awesome.
And just even though that was a relatively small startup, just the fact that we'd had belief in the project from overseas, especially, got a lot more people sliding into the DMs and I got a lot more emails. And
Good.
personally, what I've found is that sort of hype that's built from that app, the hype that was made from Samantha, another platform that's based in Asia, that shouting about that I seem to be getting booked a lot more in the commercial world
Good.
for
Interesting.
narrative-based stuff, or like for we want this artist, this singer to do more acting. Can you do something with this? Yeah, I like that it's pivoted my career in the right direction, or the direction I wanted, which was towards directing drama.
That's awesome, Jake. So you also list guitarist on your Instagram, which I think is fantastic. So you're continuing the music. Do you plan on scoring your own films in the future? And what should indie film directors who may not have that background in music, what should they know going into like for their narrative work to think about music?
It's a really good question. I should have prepared. Yeah, scoring the rally, doing the score for the rally was like one of the happiest days I've ever had. It was a real like career moment where I think I was down in the dumps with being really busy with commercial stuff and doing various projects and it getting a bit samey. And it got round to doing the score and working with a composer where it marries the two passions I have for music and film.
Right.
It it was just so rewarding, and also it's like one of my best mates is the composer as well. This guy called Dustin Dooley, and which is a fun name to say. He's very German, he's very talented, and him and me, we sat if every director had this sort of relationship with a composer, it would be a great world to live in, but I think we sat down with a bottle of red wine and had the film on one screen and had his keyboard and some guitars here, and he had spiky hair, he looked a bit crazy, and it dark lit room, and just piece by piece, we just felt out each scene and then tried different instruments, and then we'd have conversations. And I think a lot of the time in the commercial world, it's rare that you're just in the room merely for creative purposes. You're not selling anything. You're just going, what are these characters going through, and what chord should that be, and how does that sound? And I remember there was one point where I think Ren's coming back into the tent, and I was like, "This is a moment of hope, Dustin." He was like, "Oh, we'll just add that note in here." And then it did feel hopeful, and then I was like, "Now it's not hope," and it takes it away. And I've never had a process that's so instantaneously rewarding. So, yeah, so I don't know. What I would say to other filmmakers about music is to enjoy it, because I think it's one of the most
Yeah,
I think it's where your film starts coming alive, and then also whatever your, like, first choice is, if you want a classical Hollywood score, throw it out the window and try the opposite. Try a heavy
right.
metal guitar, because I think there's so many happy accidents that can happen from music, like throwing your ego out the room and collaborating with a great composer, or even trying something yourself. Try the opposite to what you were thinking, then try what you were thinking, then throw both those things out the window and try something new, because it's so accessible now, music. You don't have to hire a massive, live band or whatever, or a quartet or
Yeah.
an orchestra. You can work with amazing music producers, and that will be pining to do something narrative based. Equally, it's nice if you've got an orchestra too. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Have fun with it.
Are you okay with all the music services that offer just, "Oh, I can download for a price," like, music? Do you use those services? What are your thoughts on services like those?
Like streaming services like Spotify,
Yeah, yeah, or like ones where you can be like, download a score type of stuff and add them to your film. Is that something that you use? Is that something you're okay with?
I think there's I don't like Spotify for what it's paying musicians, and I think they've just updated their terms and conditions to be quite heinous. But in terms of tools for filmmakers to use, scores, what I've always done as an editor, and what is done quite commonly, I think, is temp score. So, yeah, whether you get I've got subscriptions to royalty-free sites like Artlist and stuff
Right,
like that. When I was cutting the rally, I would put down what I thought was, because it just helps with the mood. But equally, like I said earlier, when I went to send it to Dustin, he said, "Take all the crap off it," I think he said, just so he could imagine it with nothing. And it also makes you really evaluate your film when you look at it with no aid, no musical aid. So, yeah, I think as a filmmaker, use whatever, like, beg, steal, and borrow, get things if it's free, if it's legal,
right.
if it's do it. But it's about using the tools. But yeah, try and part with as least money as possible. That's always been my
Do you feel like more musicians could be connected with independent films? Like a lot of your friends, do they do scores, or do you think that's a market op I know it's not paying a lot maybe, but for some independent films, there could be a budget for music, and I don't feel like a lot of filmmakers are connected with musicians in the way, "Oh, I'm gonna create a score for this film." They may find a composer, find somebody like the royalty-free type stuff, but I don't feel like there's a lot of, "Ooh, I found this created this original score for this film."
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think more someone's gonna take this as an app idea, but you should connect music with filmmakers. I think that's what got our film made.
Yeah.
There's a song at the end of our film by an artist called Attain, very Irish name, and there was this really strange and beautiful moment where Dustin, the composer, had Attain in the studio, and they were
Oh,
making a song.
cool.
And Attain was saying, "What you've been working on?" And Dustin was saying, "Oh, I'm doing the film score at the minute." And it just so happened Attain was writing a song about her dad, who's sadly passed away now, but was going through chemotherapy at the time. And Dustin called me and said, I'm with Attain. I've known Attain for a little while. I'm with Attain in the studio. We've got this song about her dad. It fits really nicely on your last scene. How do you feel about that?" And he didn't say what it was about, and I was like, "I don't think I want like a pop song at the end." And he was like, "No, it's acoustic, it's about her dad." And I was like, "Oh my god, can I hear it?" Sent it over, and it was again, that was I wanted strings or something deep at the end, and there's this little acoustic song with this really beautiful vocal performance from Attain, and that took the ending in totally a different place, and I think it makes the ending feel oddly, like, uplifting in the because it's a really horrible scenario in the film, but that film just that music just takes it into a slightly lighter place, and I think it's a better film because of it. That song's actually she's releasing it, I think, in the next couple of weeks as well, which is exciting. I think it's called Jet Plane or something. But,
Fantastic.
yeah, I think especially for filmmakers at my sort of level or just starting out, yeah, friends that are musicians, friends that are producers will be a massive help. And I think it can get really monotonous being a musician in this modern day where you're competing with everyone. So when some indie filmmaker comes to your doorstep and says, "Do you want to try something different?" I think that could be the kind of breaking of the cycle that motivates something awesome. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Jake. So, are you working on anything now that you can talk about?
Mm. Yeah, so I'm writing scripts at the minute. I want to make a short next year, probably towards the end of next year. I only want to do 2 more shorts and then hopefully move towards something a bit more longer form. But writing's quite new to me. I did a bit at university, but very much focused on shooting and directing and creating the film. So yeah, writing's been a nice sort of break from the normal stuff. I find that really like just a new fun thing to do. At the minute, I'm developing a very like an overambitious sci-fi short that I'm
Ooh,
writing with my sibling. It's called Trinity. Might not end up being called Trinity, but it's fun. It's basically like a gritty war film that just so happens to be like on another planet in the future. So it's yeah, I'll
sounds
never do.
expensive, Jake.
It's not right. So this I need to practice for the pitch, but I very much wrote it with in mind that like all I need there's apart from like the spaceship crashing down at the start. Apart from that, it is just characters, and that's what I want. Like the rally, I think I want all my films to just be a human story. Not necessarily a
Yeah.
human, could be a Martian, but it's centered around a character that tells an honest story and have a big emotional journey and change and conflict and all those lovely things that are a joy to direct. Developing a sci-fi short, we'll see if that gets made among some others. Then I'm just finishing up a music video for a really cool artist called Bambi Thug.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and I've just got the edit to finish this afternoon.
Have you found that music videos, like, you can promote them? Do they help you with your career? Do a lot of musicians not wanna have the filmmaker who made the music video as, like, part of it? Because obviously you're promoting the band, not your own personal career. Is that sort of a challenge with shooting music videos?
What do you mean? If like me promoting the what do you mean?
Yeah, if, like, this video coming out, obviously on your own socials, you can promote the film that you made, but you don't want it necessarily to be, like, about the filmmaker, right? I assume the band doesn't wanna have it be about the filmmaker, it's about promoting the music, it's about promoting the band. So is that one of the challenges of doing music videos? It's hard to establish your style and highlight your role as a filmmaker in what is ultimately someone else's you're making it, but it's for someone else's art.
Yeah, totally. That I totally understand. I think in terms of a release, like a music video release,
Yeah.
it always I'm not making Harry Styles' next video. These artists are at a level where they're either just broken or breaking. I'd love to if they're listening, Harry.
If Harry's listening, reach out and loves your films, reach out.
And but yeah, the at this sort of level where bands are or artists are breaking or have just broken, that seems to be the
Yeah,
sweet spot I'm at. But in terms of releases, it seems to be like a lovely collaboration because
yeah,
if the film crew are pushing this as much as the artist, it's win-win. In terms of executing, I think that's what you meant, executing a vision with the artist paying for it or the label's paying for it, and the song is the art piece, and the
exactly.
music video is an accompaniment, it's a piece for it. Yeah, that is a process. More often than not, it's a really good process where
Yeah,
artists usually have really good ideas, and if they don't, you just gently push them into a better one. But the music video I just did, the references I was shown was like all things I loved, and I think naturally as you get out there and release films or whatever, you have people gravitate towards you that should gravitate towards you. So my background's a lot in heavier rock stuff. A lot of the visuals that I create seem to be quite dark and broody, and so you start going down the same sort of path. Bambi Thug, the music video I'm just finishing off now, the references they showed were like A Clockwork Orange and
oh, wow.
Shining, and I was like, "Okay." And obviously, but the first conversation is, "Yes, let's do that." And then the producer says, "We can't afford that." And then but that's where innovation comes through, and with not innovation, working out
Great.
how to do what they did or be inspired by the greats, but do it in a way that you can do it for under 10 grand or whatever it might be. And that's we just did that with Bambi's video, and it looks really cool, like an interrogation cell, and it's yeah, it's a deep one. I'll do a comedy
We
next. Break.
we want the ghost of Stanley Kubrick to shoot our music video. That's
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So, Jake, Indie Film Podcast, love hyping other people's projects. It's obvious through this conversation how much you support your team and how much they were a part of making the rally. Is there a film out there or filmmaker that you wish more people knew about?
Hmm. He's blowing up at the minute. Can't actually remember his
Yeah.
name. Find it in a minute. There was a great film that was on the festival circuit the year before mine called Festival of Slaps,
Mm,
and it was a comedy, but the best kind of comedy that kind of made you feel something in your heart as well. I'll email you his name.
yeah.
He's doing bits, and he's really I was really blown away with his film. But also, I guess closer to home because he's very much at the start of his directing journey, and he smashed it out the park with his first film. Amadeus Redder, who wrote The Rally, his first debut short, Olympus Lost, is in festivals now. So that will be coming to a screen near you probably early next year. So yeah, you should watch out for him.
Love this. Jake Ringsell, the film is The Rally, currently streaming on YouTube. I'll link it in the show notes. This has been a fantastic conversation. It's the first time nudists have made an appearance on the podcast. It would have it was funny, but just the stories of making such a moving film, really tremendous. This has been some great insight from a director, composer, editor, and soon to be writer of a new film. I can't wait for that to come out. I'll be cheering for you, Jake, and thanks for joining me today on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ben.